What's today's instruction from Downing Street? Well, if you were the Daily Mail, you would have carried out an audit of more than 70 firms in order to find dozens who do not have any immediate plans for employees to return to offices within 2 months. And I think most sensible people would go, oh, OK, so what? They've made a calculation based upon their commercial activity. Their business is not going to be affected negatively by continuing to keep people at home. Therefore, they're not going to risk their workforce's health. And that's the end of the conversation. Unless you're doing the bidding of Downing Street, in which case you run a headline saying, giants who have let fear keep UK PLC locked down. So what's the fear? We've got 50,000 dead people. I'd quite like not to become one of them, or people I love to be added to that number. That's an irrational fear now, is it? OK, so talk me through why I can't go to Spain on holiday without being banged up at home for a fortnight when I land, even if I've come in from an island that's got a lower risk of catching coronavirus than I have in my own hometown. Yeah, you see, you can't, can you? This is what happens. This is what our friend in Newport Pagnell was talking about. You have to ask the questions. And if you do ask the questions, you come up with this answer. Who is in charge of deciding where you work from? Your employer? Dominic Cummings? A Daily Mail columnist, or you? And the answer, if you're lucky, will be a combination of A and D. It will be a consultation or a conversation between you and your employer. If you're unlucky, it will be all A and they're ordering you back to work, which is clearly going to be the case for people in the retail and service sectors, what you might call customer-facing roles. If you're lucky, but not quite as lucky as people that get to have a conversation with their employers about what would suit them best, then you'll be working from home for the foreseeable future. Why? Because what the Daily Mail call fear, you and I would call risk. And the company is managing risk in a way that balances out wealth, we're back here again, and health. So they have calculated that the risk to their workforce's health is small enough to absorb any hit that might be made to the company's wealth. Or, even more likely, I think, looking at some of the numbers, companies are actually doing fine during this pandemic with people working from home. Therefore, until a proper all clear has been sounded, until we get a Jacinta Ardern type of leader in this country and actually manage to rid our shores of coronavirus, then you will be able to continue working from home. So, for reasons I genuinely don't fully grasp, this is some examples provided by the Daily Mail of what companies will be doing. And the weirdest thing, of course, is that they're supposed to be free marketeers, aren't they, these people? Isn't that what they call themselves all the time when they're not claiming to be libertarians? They're free marketeers. You must let businesses do whatever they want. The bonfire of regulations. Brexit was built on freeing businesses from red tape and regulations. Obviously, they didn't understand that they were going to introduce way more red tape and regulation. But if you could call it an ideology, the ideology would be it's a free market. Let businesses decide what to do and they will essentially regulate themselves. So how come all of the businesses that are freely deciding what they want to do and essentially regulating themselves have come in from a kicking from the best-selling newspaper in the country that would ordinarily be absolutely on the side of bosses and absolutely opposed to any workforce that ever dared to unionise or protect its workforce? Seriously, this is a tricky one for me. What's going on? The Daily Mail would normally climb a mountain on its knees to suck up to big business. They're the ones that pay for the advertising, after all. And, of course, they are passionately opposed to workplace representation. That's why people who toe these ludicrous lines end up attacking teachers or doctors or firefighters, because once you have put unions in the crosshairs, nobody's safe. No workforce is safe. People have to put their hands up, adults, to ask permission to go to the toilet. And yet today, here they are, back to work. Now it's time to get tough. Why? I am at work, you would say. If you work for Microsoft, staff will not be required to return until at least November. They are at work. So what's going on here for the second time today? Why are they saying back to work to people who are still working?